The second and most wonderful surprise was how much joy I got from doing it, because I thought, yeah, it's going to be a challenge and it's going to be hard, but I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do. And instead I found myself just loving it and feeling joy from it and feeling connected to the planet and all living things on it, you know? Yeah, it was another lovely surprise. So my mother, I joke that she's like the zero waste OG. So we grew up in a house where she saved everything, we reused everything, we hardly ever bought anything new. It was always secondhand. And I remember being frustrated as a teenager by, by not buying new and not having fancy things. And then as an adult really realizing the value of that and the value of living sustainably. And that really was my mother who instilled those values. Well, when I first started out in earnest, I was, to be honest, horrified by the notion of having to go somewhere with a refillable container, which is so funny because to me it's second nature now. And I would find it weird not to go out with a container to get lunch or whatever. But when I first started out in that first week or so, it felt horrifically embarrassing. But I did it. And I remember, there were a couple of failures with people looking at me like I was strange and all that kind of thing. And then I went to Faro, and they not only didn't blink an eye when they took my container off me, they then said, and then you get a 50% discount off this too. And I was like, what? You're not only making me feel cool about this, you're giving me a discount on top. And so that was one of the most triumphant, most wonderful moments in my zero waste journey, where I walked out of the shop just on cloud nine. How easy it was and how easy it's been to change. That was surprising. I thought it was going to be really hard and that I would be having to make an effort every day, that I make the decision to do things this way, and for the rest of my life it would be a challenge every day, but I was going to rise to that challenge. And it's just not. It's just become like breathing. Yeah, it's been easy. And then the second and most wonderful surprise was how much joy I got from doing it, because I thought, yeah, it's going to be a challenge and it's going to be hard, but I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do. And instead I found myself just loving it and feeling joy from it and feeling connected to the planet and all living things on it, you know? Yeah, it was another lovely surprise.
Nice feeling.
Yeah. I think the easiest thing to do if you want to start this is to focus on the food waste that comes out of your house, because that's the greatest source of waste that comes out. And get a compost. And you don't need to buy a fancy compost. You can literally create it yourself. I remember as a kid, my father would just build these sort of slats and these slatted boxes, and that was our compost. And, feeding the food back into the earth is so satisfying and so simple and so potently effective in terms of the waste that we generate. Yeah, so compost, that's my easiest tip for starting. Oh, and if you're a mum and you've got kids, I buy everything secondhand. So I go into marketplaces, like Marketplace on Facebook or Trade Me or free cycle sites, and that's where I buy everything. And so, if you want to get the fancy compost but you don't have a lot of money, you're not only getting something cheaper and sometimes for free, you're in a circular economy, and that's amazing. And so that's my other advice, is jump on. And if you've got kids, if you're a mum or a dad and you've got children, think about maybe having a worm farm, and kids will love it. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. A sustainable living item that I can't. I can live without anything really. So, I always carry around a collapsible food container. I can show you it, I think. Okay. The things I can live without them, but they make life so much easier, is I always have a refillable bottle. This one came from a second-hand store on Waiheke. It's been a bit beaten up, but it was $1. And you would pay, I don't know, $30 or $40 for that new. And it was $1. It was so exciting. And I bought a whole bunch actually, because we'd had some families come over and stay with us, and we were going to the beach, and plastic bottles of water were being taken out, and that's my pet hate, is plastic water bottles. So I bought a whole lot of these for $1, so that next time I'll just hand them out and they can fill them up with water and take those to the beach instead. And then the other thing I really love in my bag is this collapsible. So a friend gave me this, Kahurangi Kata. She's at Parakore, and so she gave me her food container, and look at it, it's just such a brilliant size, and it collapses down. So I have that in my bag all the time, and I get my lunch in it. And then, as I say, recently we're at the beach and I realized I didn't have anything to put water in for the dogs, so it was fabulous for that too. And then these I always carry around as well in case I need to pick up, if I need to get something from the refillery or whatever. I have a whole bunch of these. I've only got 2 of them today, but I usually have a few of them just stored away in my bag. And so, if I pick up some lunch or some bread or whatever, I can put them in there. Or if I need something on the way home from the refillery, I just grab those out. So, yeah. At the moment I'm on a buzz of trying to stop people from using their aircon. And it's really hard in summer because people want to stay cool, and I'm like, can you just get a fan? Don't use your aircon. And yeah, so that's been a challenge. But actually, right at the very beginning, I remember the very first time I went out, with my kit of zero waste things. And this was with, I'd made the New Year's resolution, I'm going zero waste. So within a couple of days of that, I had to go to the mall. So I was like, okay, put a little kit together. And I went to the mall, and I was like, first of all, I'll get some food. And I went into the food hall, and then I just piked out. I couldn't do it. My heart was beating so hard, and I was like, I can't do it. And so I piked out, and it's so not like me. So I felt this terrible sense of failure that I hadn't been able to. So then I was like, right, I've got my refillable cup. There's a tea shop. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to get myself a cup of tea. And I went in, and I was like, just do it. Be brave, Mitty. Just do it. And so I got the tea, and I was like, could I try that? And could you please put it into my reusable cup? And she was like, sure. And I took the lid off, and I hadn't checked the cup before I'd left, and it had a little bit of milk in the bottom, and it was not good. It did not smell good. And I was like, plunk, sorry, and then dashed out. So that was the end of the whole thing was just a washout. It was so bad. So that's a big tip. Always clean your reusable containers. I 100% believe one person can make a difference, big and small. I mean, I've seen it in my career as a journalist. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it. As the daughter of prison chaplains, and social workers, and been around activists and revolutionaries and people who fight for others. One person can make an enormous difference. And in terms of the climate crisis, in terms of sustainable living, one person doing something can make a huge difference, because if they do something and then the next person does something and the next person, it becomes this collective effort. And so I put a lot of stock by individuals doing things, not just collectives. Yeah. I'm learning every single day. I'm by no means a zero waste expert. I'm a zero waste advocate, and I learn every single day different ways to do things. I have to remind myself on, certain things. This is how we should do it. This is a better way of doing it. Remember to do it, not to do this or not to do that. And also I follow, people online and, people that I look to who advise me on things. So there's not a specific thing that I think I need to learn more about. I think I just need to continue learning about the whole thing. Yeah. So apart from my mum, the first real experts that I engaged with were Liam and Hannah from the Rubbish Trip. and I love those two. They are so generous and so wise, and all of that so young, and so I do look up to them, and I do engage with their social media a lot, and I'm able to ask them both questions when I'm unsure about something or I need advice on something. And as I said, they're so generous with their time and their expertise and their wisdom. And so, yeah, no, I'm very grateful to them. But, you know, beyond Liam and Hannah, I've been so fortunate to be able to engage with a lot of really wise experts in this area that I really admire. And last year I got to MC the Zero Waste Awards, and so it was like, you know, I was in a room full of my heroes. So I was like a little girl, like, oh, there's Waveney, and there's Liam and Hannah, and Ethically Kate, and Waste Free Kate, and, you know, all sorts of parakore and amazing people doing incredible things. Well, I mentioned it before, address food waste right up front. And if you do that, you'll have dealt with around about half of your household waste right away. So it would be really great if the programs around the country where food waste is collected by the council, if these were rolled out further and wider, and that we got to see programs arising out of that food waste, you know, so that there's further education. And I'm not sure exactly what happens with the waste at this point. I know it's used in some kind of composting facility, but I'm not sure what happens to it. So actually that's an area that would be good for me to learn more about in the zero waste area. Yeah, what happens in those food collection schemes. Also, find the joy and the fun in living sustainably. So one of the things I recommend to everybody is go on a beach cleanup or a harbour cleanup. So I did one a few years back with sea cleaners, and it rates as one of the best days of my life. I couldn't imagine that it would be any fun collecting rubbish out of harbour inlets, you know, sloshing through water and mud. It does not sound appealing on paper, but it was wonderful. It was just a brilliant day out, and yeah, as soon as the restrictions lower, I'll be booking another one. So my family, I think, enjoy it and then also get a little bit bemused by it, you know. So it's tricky with kids, you know, that there's a lot of peer pressure to have this or have that, and, you know, so I find that I'm often talking to my daughter about not buying plastic or not buying packaged foods, and my husband and I, he appreciates the journey, but he's not as far along as I am. So, and our pantry tells that story. So one half is all in glass and the other half is a mix of glass and packages. So moving the family along is taking longer than I'd like, but they are on the path at least. Yeah. And I think it's really important too is that, you know, for me, I don't want to come across as being perfect in any way at this journey, because I'm not. I am constantly on a learning journey, and so I would love to say that my entire family is on this waka with me, but unfortunately we're at different phases. But yeah, I do take comfort in the fact that they appreciate what I'm doing, and they're on the path, just not as far along as I'd like. Yeah. I think over the course of my life I was already pretty well disposed to leaping into this once I made the call. And just being the daughter of my parents for a start, you know, and the people that we mixed with as a family who were social justice advocates and earth warriors and all that kind of thing. So I think I have been formatively, you know, shaped by all of that anyway. There's no specific docos that I've watched that have made me go, right, I need to. Oh, maybe actually when Al Gore did An Inconvenient Truth, and that was a long time ago, but I remember thinking, okay, I need to start thinking about this. And so I've always, although I'm now fully on the zero waste waka, I probably exercised you know, a lot of green principles in my life before that anyway. Yeah. And then this decision was really just about saying, okay, I'm all in now. I'm all in. Yeah. When my husband and I bought some land on Waiheke, we became very aware of the privilege of being able to do that. And it's 15 acres, it's too much for a small family. And so what we decided was that we had to find a way to share it. And so we put the word around friends and circles of people, influential circles around us, and said, what do you think we should do with this land? And the strongest feedback was use it for artists and low-income families. And so we were like, okay, great, we don't have much money, we've spent it all on buying the land, how can we make that work? And a couple of people said, look into getting a yurt. And so it's a Mongolian style tent, so they're round, they can stay up fairly permanently, they can come down very quickly, but it's like a concertinaed wall ours is made of pine, and then they're just the most beautiful structures. And then you have the skin, and of course traditionally it wouldn't be what we have, which is canvas, but that's what we do have, and its ceiling is lined so that it's cool in summer and warm in winter. And they're just beautiful, easy to live in structures, not wildly expensive. So we were able to set something up fairly quickly to be able to share it. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I haven't actually got any particular plans, to be honest with you. I think I just need to continue to nail the basics and the basic principles and values of this journey, continue to bed those in. I bought plants and I'm enjoying actually sustaining house plants, which has been really neat. My husband's our gardener and he does a really great job of that, but I have been thinking that I should get out into the garden a bit more often and get a bit of dirt under the fingernails, and yeah, so there's lots of, I'll probably go away from this and think, I'm thinking of this and doing that, but there's nothing specifically that's sort of jumping to mind at the moment, other than let's just keep on trying to do this better. I would love there to be a really strong network of organisations and individuals where we can come together all the time and have an annual brain swap of ideas and things like that. That would be quite cool. So I've been thinking about that a bit. I know that the networks are very strong in this community anyway, but there's a sense for me of wanting to, like the Zero Waste Awards was amazing. It was just like having all these incredible, brainy, wise people in one room that I could go around and ask what they're doing, get tips and ideas and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I've always wanted to be a storyteller. I've always been a storyteller since I was very, very young. I loved writing, so I wrote stories all the time. And so as I discovered, being a journalist is a great way of being able to be paid to be a storyteller. It's a really wonderful way of entering into people's lives and getting to know the issues that affect us every day. It can be quite powerful and potent in terms of creating change, and it's a vital tool in any healthy democracy to have a thriving storytelling genre in the discipline of being a journalist. And so it's a really privileged place to be, I think. And so so I've been really lucky to find it, I think. Yeah. Kiwi. Birdling's Flat in Christchurch. Dogs. Except around Kiwi. Oh, that's a difficult one. Evening. I'm more of a night bird, but I do love mornings too. But I'll say evening. Christmas. Poached salmon, salad. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so and the salad's just greens and either lemon juice or balsamic and olive oil from our land. Yeah, salt and pepper and maybe a bit of tomato. Yeah, and then the poached salmon. So so that's my treat. Since I became a plant-based person, yeah, anytime I feel like not being plant-based, that's my go-to treat is salmon. I'm not bad at drawing. Yeah, I'm not a bad drawer. I can cut hair and do makeup. Yeah. So not many people know that I can do a basic haircut, not a fancy one. Basic haircuts and good makeup. Best piece of advice that I've ever been given. Start as you mean to continue. Yeah. So yeah, if you're going to start something new, do it in a way that sets you up to do it successfully all the way along.